Yeah, we should be good to go.
Okay,
Speaking
hold
of
on,
cosplay, I always thought I'd make a good Yajirobe because I definitely have the
Shut
carriage
the F
for
up.
that.
We're starting. Fuck Cape Joel. That's my new hatred on YouTube. You're my target.
And his comic book cast.
Is that your it's super effective scream? Just fuck Cape Joel.
Fuck Cape Joel. If anybody, I don't know if anybody's noticing, but I changed everyone's names to properly display their channels, except Cape Joel. It says Cape Joel. He'll leave eventually, according to Faust.
Well,
If you just ignore me, eventually I'll go away.
you guys saw what he did to comic book cars. I'm just saying.
Yeah, like he told, like dude, it
Now
was.
it's getting in on the action. This is awesome.
Oh,
Dude.
now everyone is
Did you
doing
want to
it.
make a new tab? just get in on the crew here. Just make stabs at comic book cast. It's
See, a
fun.
lot of you guys watching the live stream right now don't know, but like when Joel left, it was literally like a scorched earth policy. Like he just laid waste to all of it.
I basically did a spirit bomb technique where I gathered all the energy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
God damn it.
He's like,
And then-
sorry about your luck, Roman, but like it's curtains for like your
And then after
entire
Joel did
operation.
it, Joel and I had an argument because I didn't consent to him taking my energy. Big problem.
Does anybody
Joel does not
tweet
ask.
them so I don't have to make the tweet myself.
Believe it or
None
not,
of you
people,
have
we
tweeted this? Oh no, Sammy has. I'll retweet
Oh.
that.
I tweeted it.
Sammy
There.
already pulling her weight around this show.
Really?
I-
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's do the intro. Drop that intro with the start recording. And welcome to the weekly pull. I'm Benny the Comic Story and joined by Comic Pop, Sal of Comic Pop. There's like 20 people there. Caped Joel of Caped Joel, formerly of Comic Book Cast, because nobody? All right.
Don't
Rob
go
of
there,
Comics
man.
I'm not going to say it because I get in trouble when I say it. So Rob from Comics Explained. If you're watching this on his channel, then you probably know who that is. It's Faust from It's Super Effective. This week, he's got dark hair. And today, we're being joined by Sammy Reeds, finally, of Sammy Reeds. Also going by the name Sammy or Reeds, whichever works best for you. Or
Well.
Captain Marvel.
Oh, I'll go with that any day. Yeah.
There we go. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the DC Rebirth. We're also, I don't have stuff in front of me, the cancellations, and Rob and I will tell you how awesome we are.
How awesome PAX South was! Oh my god,
No, we were awesome at PAX South.
Dude,
Don't do
PAX
this to
South
me.
was so fun.
All right, now let's kick it off with DC Rebirth because I'm trying to record a certain thing here, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, Bleeding Cool came out with a whole bunch of rumors. I don't know how accurate they are because Bleeding Cool is not known for being super accurate.
Well, sometimes.
According
It
to
depends on what it
them,
is.
I was gonna say, according to them, they have an inside source, a Writer X, as they're calling him.
I mean,
Or her.
to be fair, Bleeding Ghoul are the people that did say DC made a Lost, and DC were just kind of like, we don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, I really want this to be like a Deep Throat thing or something like that, where it turns out like it's Jeff Johns the entire time. Like he's
Jeff
just leaking
Johns in
information.
a car park in a trench coat, smoking a cigarette. Let me tell you.
DC Rebirth is going to be all new number ones.
Yeah, like I want that to
Excuse me,
happen.
Mr. Johns.
That is not my name.
I want Jeff Johns to be like the smoking man from the X-Files, where he like he has all the info. Dude, that'd be so
Yeah.
awesome.
See, I'm just imagining him as, this is going to be a reference like two people are going to get. In the third season of Digimon, there was a guy that was always flipping a lighter, and he
Yes,
always
I
wore
remember
like a suit and was wearing sunglasses.
I know that
Love
guy.
that dude.
He's my friend. Speaking of the smoking man from the X-Files, I love what they've done with him with the rebirth of the X-Files. Have you seen that?
Dude, when I was watching the trailer, like that was the one guy I wanted to see come back. I wanted and I'm really hoping they're just like, here's everything you want to know about him. Like I'm hoping that happens at some point because
Well, no, I just love how not only have they apparently given him throat cancer and he's got the tube,
Yeah.
but he's smoking through it.
Yeah.
Like a true G would.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
I mean, that was the future of his character. Like before they canceled the series, they were like, if the series had gone on any longer, like he'd be in a hospital bed and be like, Mulder, I need to tell you something, and like he'd just be smoking a cigarette out of his neck. I mean, it made sense. Like that's the direction he was
I
going.
know. I'm waiting for that to happen to Rob. He's vaping.
Vaping out of my neck. just take this like great big honking
This
thing, just like
discussion
stick it
just
up to
took
my
a
neck.
really dark turn.
Dark.
Very dark turn.
And it wasn't my fault. Like, these guys,
Why,
these guys,
Faust?
The Faust effect.
So
the
from
Faust
this,
effect hasn't happened for months.
Reverse Faust.
Okay, so all right. So back onto the topic of DC Rebirth.
there's a lot of little stuff from this
well,
bleeding
actually,
Cool thing.
Bleeding Cool just threw out an article saying like it looks like it's going to be a reboot.
Did they now?
Yeah.
Should we just get Rich Johnson on here? Like, should we just call him?
Did
know
you
what?
think he'd do it?
You know what we should do? We should just do an episode of the Weekly Pool from outside DC's offices, like set up a little tent,
We're live at DC's offices.
and like
I'm fine
just
with that.
stay there until they ask us to go away, and we'll say, well, we'll go away when you answer some questions.
just like
Comments.
You could get in there. Like, if breaking into Marvel was any indicator, you could probably get into DC offices without much trouble.
I mean, just like shout questions at a second floor window.
Just,
And
"Hey!"
people are just like looking around, like, who are these guys?
Where we get Batman back?
He's in there right now.
We
See, the
could
trick
catapult
is-
Faust up into one of the windows.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Could you just picture Faust hitting it like poke?
Okay, guys, for this heist, what we're gonna need is a garbage truck and some coveralls, and we're gonna go in there and be like, "Oh yeah, we're the janitors here to clean up in
What are you gonna
Dan
find?
DiDio's office."
Unpublished pages. I found unpublished pages that prove Superman was supposed to be different.
Basically, it's basically my idea.
I mean,
So,
I don't.
okay, according to the Rebirth, well, okay, let's just run that down real fast. What Bleeding Cool is reporting on is that, and I'm not 100% like saying that this is wrong, because there's always been a theory as to what was going to happen at this point. But
Yeah.
after issues 52, everyone always wondered what DC was going to do for issue 52 of the new 52 issues. We're going to get a zero-ish kind of issue, and then we're going to get all new number ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
What isn't confirmed is it going to be old continuity, new continuity, a merging of the two, or will it be a completely new run yet again?
It's
See,
starting
here's
to
my-
feel like a mix from some of the books that they're getting rid of, some of them that they're bringing back, and some other rumors that are flying around.
See, here's what I would like to see. Back in sort of like the Silver Age of comics, DC just had two continuities existing side by side, and you know they eventually got rid of it because there was no way to like sort of say this character is in this continuity, this character's in that continuity, so they can't randomly be showing up in the other one.
Yeah.
We have the technology now. We have an amazing program called Microsoft Excel.
I know that one.
So we could just have a coherent database of which characters were in which continuity. It would be easy
Yeah.
for writers to do it. And I would like to see sort of like the new 52 continuity and the old continuity coexist.
I think
Well,
they're
start-
just going to renumber it. I don't know if they're going to do all that.
Well,
I feel like they're just going to
that's what I
renumber.
yeah.
I think they're gonna do it
I
for
think it's just
certain
going to be
books.
renumbering, just like you said. And the reason for that is simple. And this is what I said earlier in our chat. I think the only reason they're going to do this is because when they did the new 52 and they had all these brand new number ones, they had the biggest like sales in like years.
Yeah.
And then Marvel did the exact same thing with Marvel Now, and they had the biggest sales in years. And then Marvel rebooted the whole line with new number ones, but the same continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was
I
literally
don't-
just like new volumes of comics, like Iron Man Volume 5 was
Yeah.
Marvel Now. But I feel like, like Convergence kind of brought this on to a degree in the sense that Convergence was sort of, DC saying, hey, now we can just, like, everything's in continuity. So you can see stories from any character that's ever existed anywhere in the history of DC Comics.
But then they didn't do that, which is fun.
yeah, they only did that with a couple characters.
They did it
but
with Titans Hunt and Lois and Clark, which I think was
Yeah.
them testing the waters. Will people appreciate if we bring more old universe in there? And the answer seems to be yes.
Well, that
Yeah.
was my thought. Is at the time I think they were kind of experimenting and they were saying let's see what Marvel does with Secret Wars. And once Secret Wars launched and it started to shape up and the rumor mill was turning out like reboot, Marvel's rebooting. Having never done that before, it was kind of a big deal. And so I think when DC got together to their pitch meetings, the idea was okay, let's do the same thing because DCU is not working. New 52 isn't a brand that we can keep forever. The post convergence continuity people don't really like too much, and they like to see some of these older characters going back. So to be honest, I could see them using Darkseid War as a means to just kick a bunch of characters out. I mean, you could see them like getting rid of New 52 Superman, bringing back pre-Flashpoint Superman through Lois and Clark, and just having him as the new Superman.
It's funny
I
you
would
should
take that
mention
on
that,
me.
Rob, because a bunch of new titles have been like kind of rumored, or at least they have here for some ones they think are coming out. One is literally just called The Superman, not
Yeah.
Superman together. Superman, like a reference to the reign of the Superman
Yeah.
and some stuff like that.
I
so
think that's
wonder-
all rumors. I don't think they're
Yeah.
going to bring back the original Superman before they even made him popular.
Yeah,
Like-
I could not see them bringing back a telepathic villain. I mean, like the original, Cleveland High School Superman. I couldn't see them doing that, but I could see them kicking out New 52 Superman and bringing back pre-Flashpoint Superman. in
well,
this
there's
place.
talk
self-
too.
Yes, they'll bring back the briefs. The briefs.
I mean, let's answer. I mean, let's be honest. Let's answer that. If you had a choice between the pre-New 52 Superman or the New 52 Superman? Which one would you take?
Oh,
New
pre all
52.
day, every day.
Most people would take pre-New 52, and so there wouldn't be much objection there. I could see them, you know, I could see them
Someone's
bringing
gotta
back
say
like.
it. Sammy,
Just
what
to
would
be
you
a contrarian.
I mean, they might bring
Yeah.
back Wally West, you know, like the
Maybe.
pre-Flashpoint Wally
I'll
West.
ask you all
and
that. Sammy, who would you take? New Superman or old Superman? And new Wally West or old Wally West? There are correct answers to this.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I started reading comics right when the New 52 started. So I feel like I'm kind of biased. I really, really liked those characters.
See?
But then I started reading older comics, and I do like the pre-New 52 Superman better than the current one.
Well, you know
Your fault.
I mean, that really said it for me when I was reading Convergence. I always thought the pre-New 50 Superman was cool, but it was different sitting down reading Convergence, reading the Superman, you know, number 1, number 2, you know, the two-shot series, and comparing them side by side, and looking at the difference between the pre-Flashpoint Superman in terms of how he was written and the New 52 Superman. It was night and day. And
Yeah.
the pre-Flashpoint Superman was so much more grown up, so much more experienced,
Yeah.
had done more.
He was your
seen more.
dad.
was-
He was your dad's Superman, but there's a place for that. And I think that place is now, to be honest. I mean, you know, people like Superman, but nobody wants to identify with the Superman that's like still trying to figure things out. People want the
Yeah.
people want the Superman that's
That's-
like, I know what's going on right
I mean,
now.
but that was sort of like the point of Superboy, to be trying to figure what's going on. And sort of the issue with Superboy in the New 52 continuity is that his job in the New 52 was the exact same as Superman's job, and it just came down to which one is being written better. And in comparison to their old universe selves, neither of them were written very, very well, but Superman in the New 52 was
Yeah.
being written better than Superboy, which is why that book kind of just went off like a fart in a spacesuit.
Well, yeah, I mean you're right about that. I mean, that was the purpose. Superboy was designed to fill the gaps. To say, here's why villains in the Superman comics now hate Superman so much. Here's why Lex Luthor hates him so much. That was the purpose of Superboy, was to establish what Clark was doing between the time that he arrived on Earth and the time that he first showed up as Superman. And it served its purpose, and it was really popular, and people loved it. But the issue here is that people like the authoritative, you know, stand for
Yes.
something better Superman. They
The
don't like
statesman of the superhero world.
they
Well,
don't they
the
don't
whole point
like
is that Superman works better as as something to be looked up to. Like
Yes.
nobody wants to watch an unsure. Like that's why all the Superman movies after Chris Reeve fail is because nobody wants to watch a Superman who's not quite sure how to be Superman.
You know what,
Yeah.
though? I really liked the Superman, was it called American Alien?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
that's-
that's
I
really
really
good.
liked that.
That's
That-
funny.
that is doing
A,
really good.
he's not Superman, and B, we're exploring him pre-Superman, which is
That's a
I'm
good point.
all, I'm
That's a
all
good point.
about Clark Kent figuring out how to become.
Okay, fair enough.
But
Fair
if
enough.
we're in a world where like Superman's been around for a while, like that's why I hated Justice League War and like the origin of that, where he's just like, hey, I'm a big idiot who doesn't know what's happening, and he's like not helping or not figuring.
It's like
out
once you
it's-
put the cape on, get your shit
like,
together.
come on, man, and I
Yeah.
like maybe people like that. Maybe I
on,
think
bro.
I think people were like really like the idea of like, oh man, a Superman on my level, but like no. That's not what Superman is. We're supposed to aspire to be on his level. We don't bring Superman down to our level.
See,
He raises us up.
But
Yeah.
here's what I've been thinking quite in detail about recently. Take all the New 52 Superman stories, give him Shazam's costume, and just wherever it says Superman, call him Shazam.
Oh
and
my
it
God.
works like a million times better because it makes
It
sense
does.
that it's like a teenage boy who becomes this adult, and people look up to him, but he's trying to figure things out because
But I
he's just
like
like.
New 52
and think-
Shazam, who never shows up after his origin
Right.
story.
I know, right? You get little one shots and that's it.
Think of the exploration of character where New 52 Shazam, who is just, you take all the Superman stories and you put that kid in there. Like imagine Shazam in a relationship with Wonder Woman where it's a kid dating Wonder Woman and he's like, and the betrayal and misunderstanding that's going on and how like, this is going to come to a head soon. And then you could build a really cool event out of that. Like there's so much you could do with that they just didn't. 'Cause
And
Well, I
Shazam
mean, they-
being kind of jealous of a little kid, only to be like, huh, I was jealous of you, really?
Well, I
Damn.
mean,
Right, exactly.
they kind of poke fun. I mean, well, not really poke fun, but they made that dichotomy in Lois and Clark. And I say to this day, like, you know, reading through, you know, not all of it, but enough of the New 52 Superman to get a good grasp of his character, the
Yeah.
singular moment in Lois and Clark that was better than any moment in New 52 Superman was when Superman was, like, you know, the pre-Flashpoint Superman was watching the whole, you know, conflict between the Justice League and Darkseid
Darkseid.
unfold, and he's like, I could have stopped that at any moment, but we'll see what happens. And I was like, that right there is the Superman that I want. Like, I don't want the guy who's like, guys, I think we can do this. If we work together, we
Right.
can really pull this off. I want the
Well,
Superman
it's
that's just like rolls up his
Sailor
sleeves.
Moon.
Yeah, I mean, I want the Superman that rolls up his sleeves and is like, we got this. You
Yeah,
know,
well,
and
that's
just
Superman. Like that Superman. On one hand, I'm kind of like, because Superman should have just cleaned house. But at the same time, I like the idea of a Superman being like, no, this is their universe. They need to step up and prove that it's theirs. And then they do, and he's like, good for you. You did me proud. And then like he just slips back into obscurity.
Well, there's
grows
more
a
to
beard.
that also, because if you read the Dark Side origin, they explain that like the Dark Side is actually chasing somebody through the universes, and that person found this universe and has been basically wiping out Justice Leagues until one can stand up to him.
Ah,
Like,
hold on. So did they update the universe from or the origin from Secret Origins? Like, is this a new origin for Darkseid?
I was gonna say, which one was that
Villains
in? I don't remember.
Villain's Month, where he's a farmer who kills the gods and takes their
Oh,
power.
I
And then
hated
there's,
that
like,
he
the
was.
trickster god. Well, it's still the continuity one, so whatever if you hate it.
Yeah.
But going back to Rebirth, could Rebirth be like we've had Villains Month, we've had Futures End Month? Are we going to have Rebirth Month?
Well, see, here's
Feels like it's going that way.
that's what they're. I mean, for what I understand, that's what they're doing. Like all the titles that are going to stay. You know, if Bleeding Cool is correct, all the titles that are going to get reboots with number ones are going to get rebirths. So it's literally going to be like the New 52 0 month, except it's going to be rebirth.
And also too, while we're still on the subject of Superman, there's also a lot of talk on new writers to be taking reins on projects. And for Superman, the guy they've pegged to take this new bi-weekly Superman is Peter Tomasi, who's a writer who I've always liked and who I've always felt has been
Well, he
pretty
did an amazing
underrated.
job on Batman and Robin, and now
Yeah,
Robin. Yeah.
you did. But is he writing Robin still? Is that still Tomasi? Or did they change him
I
around?
think he's off it now, but he definitely kicked it off because it continued like
Right.
his arc he was doing.
Right.
I don't know if he's still on it though.
See, for me, the whole Robin situation is, I've read every single Robin book since the very first Robin book by Chuck Dixon.
yeah.
And it's going to take a really good writer in my eyes to stand up to the Chuck Dixon Robin
Yeah,
run, because
yeah.
for me, was like definitive
It's a
Robin.
hard act to follow.
Yeah. Like, why
So
bother if you
okay,
can't
well,
do that?
but here's something that I've been reading in response to the Bleeding Cool thing. Everyone's freaking the hell out because it's another reboot, and comic retailers are all like, "Well, we're not going to order all these. Nobody's going to buy all these things."
God.
And it's like everyone forgets every time that this happens that it happens.
Like every 5 years or so.
It's almost like to a T. Every 5 years, DC does something. We had Final Crisis, Infinite Crisis, Crisis at Infinite Earths, 0 Hour. What was that one where they all went through time and this guy was going into seeing everyone's future to see what was going to happen?
That
and it
was
turned out to
0
be
Hour.
what, that was 0 Hour. I thought it was something else.
No. 0 Hour is the Crisis in Time.
Right, where it was Monarch. They were trying to find a Monarch, and it was supposed to be like a really cool villain, and then it was.
And it turned
it's
out to not be.
Falcon. Or it was Hawk. It was
Hawk.
friggin' a Hawk from Hawk and Dove.
Yeah.
It was
And now
supposed
it's
to be the Atom, but the fans figured that out, so they had to change it.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
I
really?
What I want
Yeah.
DC to do in response to something like Rebirth, though, is 52 Volume 2. Like, just do another run of
Oh,
52
yeah.
weeks. Because 52 weeks was a brilliant way to sort of say, week by week, this is kind of like how
But they
the
don't have the
hierarchy
same
is now.
quality of writer that they used to on 52.
Well, here's my question: if they did that, like if I understood 52 correctly, it was literally just a 1 year long series that focused on small time characters.
Yeah.
Like,
but
are they? I mean, would they do that again?
It did that, but it sort of explained the hierarchy of the DC universe through these fringe characters.
Yeah.
Like, say, the
Okay.
effects of the big time characters sort of
With,
brushed
like-
up onto them.
Yeah, with one common like story arc thread, kind of like occasionally referenced throughout.
Well, they
with
just
one, like,
did
kind
that
of
with Futures
defined
End.
character.
Futures End had a whole bunch of little arcs, and there was one overall arc that was going
Yeah.
through the whole thing.
Right, but no,
actually,
he's-
Batman Eternal just did that. Batman Eternal had like 5 arcs. If you
Yeah,
read
It did.
But the difference
but no,
is,
what I was saying before we change the topic real quick though, about the reboots, none of them are true reboots.
No.
If a story is selling, it stays, as proven by New 52, the definitive reboot. Batman and Green Lantern did not change. Everything that
Yeah.
wasn't selling changed.
Well,
Well,
their
there's-
Robins changed, but everything else stayed pretty much
Well,
the same.
Yeah.
that's the issue with Batman in the New 52. It's like, it's everything's there, but things aren't there, and it's all in 6 years, and Cataclysm's not there, but
Yeah.
but Cataclysm is kind of there because it's referenced. So it's like, we still don't know what in Batman's history actually happened.
Well, that's actually a really good point because like I'd asked Benny about this a long time ago, and Benny, you actually sent me a link for an interview that Dan DiDio did, and he was like, well, he was like, Batman's entire history, like everything that ever happened to Batman, like may or may not have happened, but we won't say it happens unless it's referenced. So like until it was referenced, like Bane broke Batman's back, then
Then it didn't
Nightfall
happen.
had never happened, and until
Yeah.
it was Hush showed up and was like, remember the first time that I screwed up your life? Like Hush never happened, and so unless they reference it, it's just kind of up to the reader to decide whether or
But
not
you
it's
also
Hush
official.
hasn't showed up in the New 52, has he?
Yeah, yes, he was in Eternal.
Yeah.
Oh, it was in Eternal. Yeah, duh.
For like
Yeah,
a
like,
minute.
I was like, Benny, you did the whole Batman Eternal.
The thing about
mean-
that idea, like the idea of it didn't happen unless it's referenced or meh, whatever, is that you still have writers on retainer who wrote those stories that happened 15, 20 years ago, and you clearly don't have a shared Google Doc that has what's happening, because these writers they don't know, they don't share notes, they don't care what other people are referencing. It used to be like, I remember when Maximum Carnage happened and they were like, why don't the Fantastic Four show up? And it's like, oh, because actually if you were reading Fantastic Four at that time, they're over here, and
They're in space.
they couldn't use them because they were in another story somewhere running concurrently. And it might have altered the story, but it was also like, dems the breaks in your shared universe, man. Like, make it work somehow. And they're like, okay, we'll put Deathlock in it. So sometimes you get a Deathlock, oh well. Like, but other times, that's cool. I always maintain that, like, while it's cool to see a creator do whatever they want, which is what the New 52 kind of pretty much was, I find that the creators are more creative when they're forced into an editorial box and challenged to get themselves out of it.
Now,
See, it's funny you say that, because I was actually talking to Dan Abnett, and he was saying,
He's an opinion about that.
and he was saying the New 52 was kind of bollocks, because he was writing Rebirth Man at the start of New 52, and the
He
published version of Rebirth Man is not what he wrote, essentially. The script was
bullshit.
changed so much.
That's rough. You can't just change the writer. You have to ask them to change it. He probably either like refused to do it, or they changed it without him, because he's probably on retain. Like, yeah, they have no legal reason to like ask him for his permission to change.
Now, speaking of Batman and writers as we were, the other big writer thing from this Bleeding Cool article is supposedly Tom King, of all people, is going to be taking the reins on the new bi-weekly Batman book. There's been a lot of talk that, Snyder's time is coming to an end, that after he did, Bat Mech, that he'd be finished. Capullo's doing other stuff. It's interesting that they pegged him. I assume they would get someone in the Snyder family to
Yeah.
take the reins,
Or
like
at least
Time.
someone-
Who's doing Batman and Robin Eternal? Because that's not doing bad, but it's not doing good.
It's King and Seeley and all the other
Oh
students.
wow!
of
I'm
Snyder.
surprised they didn't get Tinyon or Tinyon the fourth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. The guy who
'Cause it's
writes
like-
the Woods that
because
Faustus
he did
frenetic.
Eternal 1. Because like, yeah,
And-
that
and he was also supposed to get Nightwing back in the day before they handed it off to Seeley and King, who are now working on that. The fun thing about Tom King, for those of you who don't know, he's an actual ex-CIA operative, like in real life. And that's why they brought him on to do the Grayson book. So this man is basically like a real-life Batman, and he's going to be writing Batman.
You know
That's
what? Like,
badass.
I'm not really worried about him so much as I am about it being bi-weekly right out of the gate. Does that worry anybody else?
Yeah.
Well, it does.
Not
because-
really, 'cause-
Well,
Well,
was
like-
good.
The, qual-
Everybody, go ahead.
the quality of weekly books aren't great because they've got to have so many writers and so many artists on them. Bi-weekly still, it's like, it's not going to be, it's going to be half as bad as weekly.
Yeah.
I feel like monthly is just better for the format.
I will
Some
say this
people
for-
can't even maintain the monthly schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
true.
Yeah,
And
not
you're- you want them to do it
for
like-
the record, though, I mean, I think Spider-Man is a great example of a bi-monthly book because while once in a while there is like a filler issue and it's blatantly obvious it's a filler, for the most part, Dan Slott is pretty on top of that, and they're pretty.
It was
Yeah, but that's
a better
also-
example of the Spider-Man formula is what was that awful thing after One More Day? Brand New Day. But like, okay, terrible stories and stuff, but the idea of putting Spider-Man, like the amazing, of canceling all the other titles, having one title, but it's more or less having 4 titles, but they're all just branded Amazing Spider-Man, and you have a collective of writers, and they had like 4 or 5 writers all working together, one of whom was Dan Slott, Bob Gale, another number of writers and artists who all worked together, and they all shared notes, and that's how like the editorial teams are supposed to be for these freaking books. Like, it shouldn't be that there's 5 or 6 different writers who are all trying to figure out how to like make one Spider-Man book come out once per like every 2 weeks or something like that. But like, why isn't that something that you could do on the Bat titles or on the Superman titles or on the Green Lantern titles? Like, they did that for I don't know, a year of Brand New Day, and while some arcs were worse than others, that was more of a personal preference thing. That was more like, I don't really like his take on the character. I don't really like that character or that villain. But the books consistently came out. The artists and writers who were working on them were all really, really at the top of their game. Whether you liked it or not is subjective, but good stuff, and it all came out consistently. And I don't know if that's because they had a good editor-in-chief, or if it's because they had a good overall editor, or if it's just because they all were passionate about the character and wanted to make good shit. But that's what DC needs to do. If they want to prove they can do like 2 Batman books a month, or bi-weekly or every 2 weeks.
I was like, there's like 5 right now a month.
Well, yeah, but like, but they're all peripheral. Like, I mean, like, if
7 if we count Grayson or Red Hood or Gotham Academy.
Like, if you wanna go on the heels of Snyder and Capullo's Batman, and then go like, we're putting out that title twice a month. You gotta really make it. You gotta put out, number one, a AAA artist and writer team.
Totally.
And if you're not gonna do that, you at least have to have like tried and true, like, steel-tempered, good and consistent quality writers and artists on that, or a stable of them. So it's like, okay, so and so is taking too long with the pages. Bring in so and so and have them work on the book.
Which is how I feel about Batman and Robin Eternal right now, which is good because they got a nice think tank of some really good fan favorite writers and artists.
Robin Eternal formula seems to have worked, and if they want to apply that across the board, I say A, good for them, and B, like, good luck, keep it up, because
I feel like my biggest issue is, since the start of the New 52, DC has just treated Batman like their cash cow. There have been like so many Bat titles every single sort of way.
So many Bat events.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been like Batman and those other DC guys. Like,
Batman and
there too. And so I just, if they do Rebirth, I want them to sort of bring back Batman a bit and sort of make it be like, this is the DC universe. It's not Batman and Gotham and, and how many books are based in Gotham alone? Like, let's get out of Gotham. Like,
let's go to Bloodhaven if you want to do a Gotham-esque city.
That doesn't exist
Bloodhaven
anymore.
is back now. Bloodhaven is back now. In Detective Comics, that's where Renee Montoya was at. She was in Bloodhaven. Bloodhaven does exist.
But by the way, like, if you remember when
read
they
your Detective Comics, Benny.
Well, you will now that Snyder's writing it. Oh, who knows?
Oh, supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly. And by the way, if Snyder does take over Detective, then we should. I guarantee you're going to see more like 2-issue story arcs are done in one.
I hope so.
With like Jock drawing it, where it's just cool, gritty Batman solving crimes.
I've said it again. I want a Detective run.
But
if you not starring Batman.
Well, like, if you want a Batman, remember when they wanted to make Batman a mythic, kind of like urban, maybe he's not even real.
A man who saved the world multiple times is now an urban legend
on
figure.
TV. Like, come on, the guy, like, the Batman has been so integral in every single event since 2011. There is no doubt in anyone's mind that not only does he exist, but there's several versions of him, and there's several different members of his family. Like, you could. He's been photographed and filmed so many times, like, there's no dispute about that.
I am a myth. Ignore me.
They need to bring that back.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, so what would I don't know if I can do this, but I'm just gonna ask.
Just do it.
What would each person here want from the Rebirth if it happens? Like, what's one thing you want to see happen?
Jeff Johns on Green Lantern again.
Maybe.
Old universe Tim Drake, written by Chuck Dixon.
That'd be fun.
I don't know.
Or goatees, Sal.
I mean, yeah, more goatees. No, I mean, like, just good. I want cohesion in editorial. I want them to agree on one thing. Honestly, you know what I want? I want them to do what Marvel did when they created the Ultimate Universe. I want them to have 2 universes running concurrently and not crossing over and not being you know what I mean? Like, just one.
Well, they kind of had that with Earth 2 until they broke down and did it.
Yeah, but no, I don't want Earth 2. I want, like, either, and if you want pre-Flashpoint, just have that running, or if you want, like, make Earth 1 its own universe and go, that's the universe we're
That would
going
be
with
awesome.
Ultimate, and just do that for one. And the people who are passionate about that, they stay in that lane, and the people who want to write the crap that's coming out right now can stay in this lane, and just do your two different universes, so that like everybody gets what they want.
Oh yeah,
I know,
they
actually-
tried that like really hard. They tried that after Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it didn't work.
No, they didn't.
Faust,
they
go
did.
first.
They did not do that. They got one universe.
Actually,
And
I
then
know
the
what I
multiverse
want.
came back, and they started crossing over.
That was.
I know
that's
exactly what
pretty
you're
cool.
talking about, Joel
I
and
don't
Rob
want
and Sal.
Actually, I know what I want, and I've said it in I think last week's podcast. Hashtag bring back the butt.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
And Sammy, you had your finger up, or were you doing it for Faust?
Oh no, I was impersonating Faust. I'm sorry.
Oh no! If you want to impersonate Faust properly, you have to like minor explode. Like
Now, instead of saying what I want, I will further read on and tell you some new titles that we could possibly be getting. And again, I mentioned Earth 2 before. Apparently, the Justice Society of America will be coming back in a new ongoing title, which is weird because does that mean they're doing away with Earth 2? Because they're not going to have two Jay Garricks and like two original Green Lanterns running along unless this is just a new team with the name Justice Society of America.
What if it's literally? Because if you've been reading Earth 2 Society, they're separated right now.
have.
They're all divided. What if they just are coming back together to be a team?
That could be.
But,
I think that could be
like,
it.
what if like creativity over continuity? Like, what if that?
Well, that's
Oh
the
yeah.
thing.
What about that?
Well, that's the thing. I assumed, is this going to be like a Titans book? And from the article I'm reading, it's saying, yes, it will be like a Titans hunt, where it's like, well, the heroes of the Justice Society of America, they existed in the main universe all along. They just didn't know. They had amnesia, and they're getting it back now. And I'm like, that seems like a lot to take in for these old Golden Age heroes to have been here all
I
along,
want to
but
see
nobody
classic Doctor Fate. Like just like he had him in Convergence with his little like blanket.
Eh.
Well, apparently his book is one of the first to get the axe. Apparently his is.
Well, no,
in
the new
Great
book is
Games.
horrible. Hoodie Doctor Fate. Who the hell thought of that?
I mean, everybody.
Someone who
They
wears
gave-
a hoodie. Someone.
Well, they gave
Good call.
Shazam a hoodie. They gave everybody gets a hoodie. Fucking freaking.
No. Shazam got a hoodie with a cape. You apparently aren't even reading it. I like the story in the new Doctor Fate. The costume design is literally Khalil has a hoodie, like Joel's wearing, and he puts the helmet on.
That's weird.
Okay, so can we just have this on record? I know it's recorded, but someone else other than me complained about a costume for once.
It's true. When they released the new 52 costume, and they're like, look, everybody gets a little collar and piping, and Superman has armor for no reason. And like, I don't understand what it is about costumes and why it's so hard to make them, because that's like, look, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but here's the great reveal. We all got into comic books and superheroes because of their cool, flashy costumes. And I don't understand why over the last 20 years making them is hard. Because
I'll tell you for why it's hard. Because they are now and I hate admitting this, but cosplay is to blame. Because they're bringing in cosplayers, and if you tell a cosplayer, help us design a costume, they're going to be like, what if like he had armor and you can make it big and flashy and it can be amazing, and it just becomes too much. And
Wonder Woman's armor.
Oh, Wonder Woman's armor is not bad.
Yeah, but
I'm
like
the only one who likes Wonder Woman being in
Okay.
pants, because like the whole Amazonian bathing suit just never made sense.
I have no
to
problem
me.
with pants, but I'm.
Yeah.
I'm all in favor of pants.
See, the leotard I like.
I'm not
I like-
against pants.
I mean, and like Sammy, do you walk around in a bathing suit all day and just that's your day
No,
to day?
but I'm also not an Amazonian warrior. I'm not opposed to her to a new costume. I just didn't like. I just didn't like
I
how
just didn't
everything-
like the one you got.
It was
Okay,
just
Benny.
like they went from like skimpy Jersey Shore to full nun, and I'm like, nah, she doesn't need to be completely covered. Is that
There's a
necessary?
nice.
I
But they
agree
did
with you
this.
on that.
But they did a similar thing for Cassie. They went from like jeans and t-shirt, I guess, to sparkly one piece.
Yeah.
Well, here's a weird thing
Wait,
to
real
me.
quick, Rob, real quick. I want to say one thing. Faust, I am proud of you. 1 year and a half later, you are now able to interrupt people.
It only took a year and a half.
It only took a year and a
Leveled
half.
up and picked the
Only took a year and a half. Here's what I would say. Back on the whole Rebirth thing. I think it'd be interesting if they kind of went back, if they sort of wiped all this clean. But my question is this: what do they do now? especially like with the Justice League. What continuity do you choose?
Yeah.
I mean, because they're at this impasse. This is the problem that creativity over continuity makes is if it comes down to the point where you're rebooting stuff, what stays and what goes. And I'm not even talking about titles. I'm not talking about Justice League. I'm not talking about the individual titles. I'm talking about Batman, the God of Knowledge. Green Lantern, the God of Light, or whatever it is that he is now.
It was a thing that happened.
Yeah, it was a thing that was there. To me, it would have worked out a little bit better if they had like cast off the whole New 52, and if they said, "Well, guys, we're giving Shazam new gods, and like his new gods are everybody else in the Justice League,
Yeah.
and they're just going to be over here in the Rock of Eternity, and just don't worry about that, And then you just have like the pre-Flashpoint that comes back, But whatever the case may be, my question is, where do you go from here? What do you do? How do you follow that up? How do you end it? If that's what you're going to do, if not, are they still going to have Superman, God of Knowledge, or God of Strength? And if they
I
are,
can tell you a couple places they're going.
Oh, we're losing Joel.
oh, we're losing. Yeah, Joel's look.
What
no.
a face to freeze on.
I,
Joel had
It's far too much to
information.
keep them that way.
Oh, there
Oh,
you're back.
there you go.
Okay,
We lost you for
okay.
a second, Joel.
Go ahead, Joel, because I have a theory on this whole thing to wrap up this Rebirth discussion and move on to the next one. But I think I know what it's all about. Go ahead, Joel. You trying to
Oh,
talk?
I was gonna say we can't wrap it up just yet because I still have some more new titles to go through. I'll just lightning round the new titles so we can move
Okay.
on.
Yeah, I
Fast,
want to hit the
you're
other
gonna
top.
love this. Apparently, they're redoing Teen Titans yet again. Oh, what the other the other stuff we're going to be covering in the show, or
Yeah,
still on
another
the
show.
Rebirth?
We're moving
There's
on
only
to
one
stuff.
other thing we're covering in the show.
Yeah.
No, but I was gonna say there's still more Rebirth titles to talk about. Is the thing like I'm still moving up the actual
Well, yeah, go
article.
through the
There's
list.
still more books.
Give them to us, Mister.
Okay, fine.
Internet quality up.
Okay, so apparently Damien is going to be headlining a brand new team of Teen Titans,
just
which
gonna
is
match
Yes,
the
he's
movie
the
that
head
you-
of the Teen Titans now.
I
just
want to
in
hear
time
what
for the
Faust
new
has to
movie.
say about that.
Yes, Faust.
Yep.
Please.
Faust, slide up in your chair, Faust. Faust.
Yeah.
I
Where did
mean,
he go?
Damien was a member of the Teen Titans before, and it was shit. And
I
no
know.
one in
Well,
the
now
team
he's in
liked.
charge, and I'm sure it's going to be a great leader.
Man,
It's gonna match the
I
movie. That's what it's doing.
as soon as I heard that, I knew that Faust was going to flip because one, like Dick Grayson's butt's not coming back, and two, like he's not going to be headlining the title. So
maybe
that's-
it will
I
be
don't
though.
want Dick Grayson shouldn't be the head of the Teen Titans. He should be head of Titans.
The
But,
Titans.
Yeah.
but Damien should be. It should not be a part of a team because he's so fucking selfish that he works so perfectly on his own or
does.
with a superior.
Don't
But,
worry, I'm sure he'll take his buddy Nobody to join the team with them.
We're
Hey,
back
like-
Maya's
now.
awesome.
But-
I like her too.
And
She's pretty-
Goliath.
The thing is, Tim Drake works so well as the head of the Teen Titans because when he was in the Bat Family, that book was about Batman was about family.
Yeah.
When he was in the Teen Titans, it was about family, and so it was just he's so perfect to be the leader of that team, and so to take him out and replace him with Damien, who is so incredibly selfish, like you could see that as like, oh, it's an artsy twist, no one will see it coming, but it doesn't fulfill the jobs of the characters.
You want to write a comic, Faust?
Yes, because I fucking do it better.
we can call the Teen Titans,
Yes.
I'm
We'll
actually
call it
interested.
Faust Teams Titans.
Faust Teen Titans. Yeah, I would read that.
Is it a bit like how people refer to Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol as Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol instead of Doom Patrol?
All right, what's the next one? Kate to Joel.
The next one coming out here, apparently, Batman, Superman, and Superman, Wonder Woman are not long for this Earth.
Yes.
Apparently, they're up on the chopping block. They're going to go away, but according to this article, they're going to be replaced by a new Trinity book, which is just going to be Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman all together having far out groovy
Which is
adventures.
Now
Pretty
that
Isn't
no,
that book called Justice League?
no, but like
True.
that makes perfect sense to me. See, that premise makes sense, and here's why I say that: Batman versus Superman is a cool idea, but it's so predictable. Like it's so like, oh, Batman and Superman have like the two most popular heroes in DC's, or not really most
Well,
popular.
that makes
two
sense.
most-
That
the two most
that
well
prints
known.
money.
Yeah, like the two most well-known heroes. Well, apparently not if they're going to be canceling. But like the two most well-known heroes are teaming up in a book. Okay, like how interesting could that really be? To me, the only time Batman and Superman are interesting is when they're fighting.
No,
And so
no,
that's the only time I
Batman-
find them interesting.
The Superman Batman book that had been running for a while was really, really solid. Even
Yeah, I
when
like
Jeff Loeb was writing it, it was a great book.
Mhm.
And but I think that I
Even
honestly,
with Robo-Bats and No Power Superman, it worked really well.
it was really a neat idea. I wanted to see that, but like the thing about Batman Superman kind of being canceled and Superman Trinity instead, I think that I honestly think that that's just the movie. That's
Yeah.
just
Oh,
them
yeah.
saying.
Oh God! Oh
That's
God!
just-
no.
If you look at these titles, a
It's the
lot
same
of these,
book.
the
It's
changes
just
are all
which
being
one.
related to movies. And,
Yeah,
and
it's-
that's actually what I was going to say. I think a lot of this is simply, but they have a new movie coming out launching this universe. They have the Teen Titans versus Justice League movie, and all of this is what I think. And we can keep going through the topic if everybody wants to talk about it. But I think that the whole point of DC Rebirth is them not admitting DCU didn't work.
Yes.
Them finally. This is basically them saying, yes, we messed up. We shouldn't have Justice League Darkseid War, JLA, and Batman in a robot suit all at the same time.
Yeah.
And them stating, with the movie coming out, we need a consistent continuity again. I don't think we're going to get a reboot. I think what we're going to get is a 2-year jump, and we're going to pick up right where we left off. Kind of a situation.
You know, they've kind of done something like that before. It was called 1 year later, and it,
Yeah, but then you had like 52.
We're gonna jump a year or two, you know, and what they're gonna be like is, okay, year passed, Darkseid War happened here, like it'll be like in passing, Batman will walk up to Superman and be like, remember that time that you lost your powers and then you became the god of strength and then we fought the god from Krypton? Remember how all that lined up together and then immediately after that we had this fight together?
Well, see,
I
that
have,
was
I have mixed feelings about the movies and the comics being all aligned in continuity.
Oh yeah.
Like it kind of feels like the movie people are kind of like, or even I guess the comics people are like, oh well, people are too dumb to understand that there's two different things going on.
Well, like,
the thing is that they've been doing that forever. Like
they've been doing it forever, and also we need to remind ourselves as comic readers.
And Marvel is plenty guilty of it too.
This will only last as long as we're getting comic book movies. We're all expecting that bubble to burst around 2018. Probably we won't be getting nearly as many by 2022. A lot of them will be cancelled, so we just need to hold on for another few years.
As long as
You say
Captain
that,
Marvel
but they're
gets
still
out.
westerns, man.
yeah.
I
mean,
don't
like-
see the comic book movies going away. I do see them toning down. I
Yeah.
see by the time we hit Infinity War and the Justice League two-parter movies, they're going to be toned down.
Oh yeah, I think the
Oh,
time
no
of
doubt,
having, I think
because
the time of
they-
having
you-
like 6 movies in a year, that's not
Well,
gonna.
you know, Marvel has no plan after Infinity War.
Not
Dude,
yet.
I'll be honest, man. I mean, just to sidetrack for a split second, I think they launched Iron Man to test it. It did well. They planned out
And
to
then-
Infinity War and didn't think it was going to be as popular as it is.
No.
And
yeah.
then they were
Now
just
they're
like,
like, oh.
like, what do we do next?
Well, I
but,
mean,
but nonetheless, like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, just even like that's proven even with like the strength of they were like, all right, you know what, throw Guardians of the Galaxy and do the Marvel Cosmic thing. People were like, yeah, we want that, and they were like, what? Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
See, I'm making it my mission to say this whenever I'm in anywhere. I was in an interview last week and I said this for all the Marvel people that are listening, because I know you clearly listen to this podcast.
Oh yeah, they watch.
Big
Jim
fans.
Jim Lee himself from DC listens to
Yeah, Jim Lee. Like, he's still running. He's still running
Yeah.
X-Men, don't you know?
But Marvel, and specifically Marvel Netflix, make a Scarlet Witch TV show, make it like The Craft, and have the intro theme.
and Star Faust is the love interest.
No, star me as Wiccan, but from the future, sent back in
That's what
time.
he really wants.
Yeah,
Um,
I will definitely publicly endorse Faust for Wiccan in whatever incarnation they want to go with.
I would.
I've already started the campaign to get Sammy as Captain Marvel, so
I take that.
Listen,
I need to hurry up and make a Wiccan cosplay and sort of just turn up to
The
Marvel
trick
offices
is-
and be like, "Dinner."
The trick is we need to start one of those Make-A-Wish Foundation things and being like, hey, this is Faust. He is a very good boy and he would like to be Wiccan. Can you
you
make
have
this
to die
happen?
enough.
Yeah, they're like, well, what's Faust's illness?
I
It's
am
like he's
dying.
British.
Very slowly.
Like he's British,
All
so
right.
he qualifies
Yeah,
for
are
the
there more
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
more titles that go through Cape? Joel? Cape? Joel?
Just
Cape?
two, and I'll be done it
Cape?
really quick.
Cape Joel? Cape Joel?
Cape and Joel.
Cape. By the way, how do you feel about CBC? Just
Again with this, every week with this, man. I
Sal, do you
swear
remember
to.
what he said about them?
I was
I
terrible.
swear.
It was. It offended me on a fundamental level.
And it
see
offended
that?
your cat too.
Yeah,
She was
you
really
see that
upset.
cat's face? The cat was like, "Oh, girl."
She was really
Oh,
surprised.
fun.
The cat is so ashamed of me right now. It's like that scene in Game of Thrones. Shame, shame.
It
I'm
looks like you have
curious.
floating eyes on your shoulder.
It does. Like, oh, she's my shirt.
I'm curious. Like, what are the cat's thoughts on DC?
it
If
to
it
me
doesn't,
out.
she can't eat it, so she doesn't like it.
But yes, the next two books are Green Lantern related titles. Apparently, Jessie Cruz, the woman who has the power ring from Earth 3, might be getting her own ongoing very soon. And another Green Lantern book called Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps.
See,
Wolverine's the
I'm
X-Men.
No, I'm looking forward to that because I've always liked character's name and team books. Like, I loved Wolverine in the X-Men, Superboy and the Ravers. I loved that as well.
Did
Like,
you Did you like Aquaman and the other guys?
The others.
We don't
The others
talk
were
about
cool.
Yeah,
The
it
others
was
were
a
cool. They just
really
never had a chance.
it was a really
I
good book.
have no idea what they were thinking with that, honestly. Like,
What-
I love the Aquaman run.
It was cool, but
But-
like, what a terrible name for a book. I get
Yeah.
the like the Outsiders, but like, it was just you could only do
To be called
Aquaman and
the
the
Others.
D-listers.
You couldn't take it seriously because it was literally like Aquaman and the others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the guys
The other
that
ones.
nobody wants. Like as soon as I saw that title, I was like, so does like Aquaman aim for the bushes? Like what happens in this? And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, so Aquaman and the others, like Aquaman and the guys that nobody wanted to write, Aquaman and the Unsellables.
Well, it's so
like what are
weird,
we?
'cause, like,
Well, so many people did
know,
want to
they
write
pumped
them
all
because
this-
they kept coming up in the series.
Well, they kept pumping all this time and money into like making Aquaman cool again, and then they're like, and he's gonna have a team, and it's called the Rest. Like, make him the leader of the Justice League if you want to push Aquaman that hard. Like, do something interesting with him, but don't.
Aquaman and his amazing super friends.
Yeah, right. Like, come on.
Oh, don't bring no.
But,
We don't talk about that here.
But no, see, like here's
It's
my
awesome.
thing.
Amazing super friends.
Here's my thing with the whole DC. I could see Jeff Johns and DC using like Power Ring to like spearhead if they were going to jump forward to like spearhead jumping forward. And here's why. Because right now, like they're at an impasse with her character. I mean, to me, it's kind of interesting to see the whole dichotomy of her trying to overcome Volthoom's influence or whatever. But eventually, a time's going to have to come when the question, like when that'll get old, and people will be like, is she a character able to do her own thing, or is she constantly going to be influenced by some voice locked inside of a ring? And
Right.
the I could see them saying, okay, like we're going to jump forward a year. She's overcome, Volthoom or somehow defeated him or whatever the case may be, but like he's no longer part of the equation. And then kind of spearhead that into now everybody else jumps forward a year or something along those lines. But with Jeff Johns being so solid on Rebirth, I could see them doing that. But here's the problem: is
Tail in your face.
there are things there's aspects of what they've done that I like Shazam having a new god, like having a lineup of new gods instead of the
Yeah.
old stuff, because now it's like these are our
won't
gods now.
last.
These are our
Right.
I think it'll last long enough. I mean, at the end of the day, who really cares about the names of his gods? As long as he can do what Superman does, I don't care. So
I mean, they did do something like that back in the Golden Age, where Mary Marvel had her own gods that were different
Yeah.
to Shazam, and it just created for a very interesting dynamic where she was, in the Golden Age at least, in the context of the Golden Age, where she was a female that was just as strong as a male and had her own gods. Back in the Golden Age, that was like, my God,
yeah.
that's insane.
And then
He's
like
just said
then
God
like
so many times.
like then DC sued Fawcett Comics into oblivion, and then they canceled it. Then when they brought him back, like guess who her gods are? The same one as Captain Marvel as Shazam. But no, there are some like I like Hal Jordan is like the god of light, because I think it's finally Hal Jordan being like, okay, he's not just a really cool Green Lantern. He's not just like the Green Lantern. And how many times
the
can
bestest Green Lantern.
He's the best. And how many times can you have him? Unless they made him like a Blue Lantern, which I don't think they did. But how many times
Hal
can
Jordan's
you?
had them all.
How many times can you be like?
No,
Hal
he really
Jordan
has.
is
He's had all the
part of this?
rings.
He's had all the rings. No, I thought Kyle Rayner was the one that had all the rings.
No, Kyle Rayner controlled them all.
Oh,
Hal Jordan
okay.
got them all.
Oh, okay. So what do you do? And I think it's good to kind of say, yes, like there are the Green Lantern Corps and there's all the other Lantern Corps, but then there's like
Speaking of that,
Hal
hold on
Jordan
to totally
up
interrupt
there
you.
somewhere.
They finally said that he still has his goddamn White Lantern ring. All right, keep going.
Oh,
That was
Omega
weighing
Man
on Benny's
finally,
mind.
No, it was him saying
A
that.
little bit.
I reminded me the last Omega Man. I was just reading it, and they're like, "We need you to get your white ring out," and it's like, it's still in continuity.
But no, like those are some aspects that I like, and I mean I wouldn't be heartbroken to see him go away, but I think there'd be something to be missed here. But I will say that to me, I could see them using Jessica Cruz because she's a character that I think is interesting, and you could do a lot with her. The problem is they
She keeps
haven't.
getting pushed further and further into the background.
Exactly, she keeps getting
She's-
shoved into the background.
right.
She's just starting getting turned into Cyborg and Shazam, who were supposed to.
That's exactly it, man. Because I she is so unique. She's so different because she's a lantern, but she's not.
Yeah.
Like she has a lantern ring, but it's not really a lantern ring. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't.
Well,
and
honestly, being the big Green Lantern fan that I am, and I'm probably the biggest Green Lantern fan here.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly.
What the problem is Jeff Johns did such an amazing job establishing the Green Lantern mythos, being basically separate from DC almost in its entirety. Like, I remember talking to an interview way back when we started this whole thing, and them being like, "Yeah, no, Green Lantern has its own directive to do whatever it wants, its own thing." that the problem is when he left, they couldn't go anywhere with it. Like they were like, oh, the emotional spectrum can run out, and everyone was like, no, we don't like that. And then they were like, well, now what do we do? Like
That was something that kind of threw me off. Like that confused me when they brought in, God, who was it that said that? That showed up and said like, oh God, Benny, you know this. It was a guy who showed up for an alternate reality and tried to wipe out the Lantern, tried to like take all the Relic, and was like, in my previous universe, like. The Lanterns, completely went through the power source of the emotional spectrum and destroyed our universe. So I'm going to try to fix that. But, no, that was dumb.
But the fact is, and you can tell, because they had like 6 Green Lantern books. Like Green Lantern had as many books as Batman and Superman. And over the years, since New 52's come out, they've slowly but surely been cutting them off ever since the Wrath of the First Lantern ended. When we got to the First Lantern and the guy who invented the emotional spectrum in our universe, like it was the most epic storyline ever. But where the hell do you go with it after that?
And I'm gonna give Green Lantern praises from from my perspective. The costuming in that was the only book that I couldn't complain about any costumes.
I like the ring design. The ring designs are really cool. Like I always liked those.
But what I'm saying is, and that was the issue, and as a Green Lantern fan and all the core Green Lantern fans, the books carried on, they weren't bad, but it became a situation of we've already tapped into pretty much the entirety of the lore. Like there's not, so they tried to invent new lore, so we had Relic from a different universe, the emotional spectrum can tap out. Kyle Rayner went on a journey of the White Lanterns. That didn't do well.
Hal started leading.
That didn't do well. Guy Gardner became a Red Lantern. That didn't do well. Now they've moved them into the other universe, and those did so badly they got canceled 6 issues in, and then they just renamed it so they can make it a #1 again in hopes that it'll sell, and it's still the same story.
And then didn't they bring in like Parallax from the other universe too, like from Convergence, and he's hanging out there now, and they keep threatening they're going to destroy Coast City again.
Now we're doing like moving universes. There's only one more thing we can do before we're getting back into it being good again, which is what's cooler than one emotional spectrum, 2 emotional spectrums.
That's basically what they've done. The alternate universe had this own spectrum. But what I'm saying is, like, you can tell by the sales, and what it feels to me by them doing Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps is, we're not getting rid of them. We got a movie coming out eventually one day.
In 2020.
I know. But the fact that they want to move to Jessica Cruz kind of proves they've tapped out of the Green Lantern lore.
But let's also not forget they tried to do this once before with a little fellow named Baz. Who they said, Baz, you're gonna love him. He's gonna be the new hot thing, and then they abandoned him.
No, Jeff Johns made Simon Baz because Marvel had Kamala Khan.
No, but Baz was first. Khan came out later.
Oh, was it? Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
No, Baz existed before Kamala, man.
Oh, really?
Nobody wanted it.
Oh, okay. But no,
What's the secret, Sammy?
I've only ever read Jeff Johns' Green Lantern because the universe really terrifies me because it's so huge and it's been going on for so long. So I don't know how else to get into it.
No, it is massive. It's probably. I mean, you can call me wrong all you want, but I think it's the most established thing in DC outside of the Batman and Superman mythos.
Dude, I agree with that 100%. Like, I went out and bought the omnibus, the omnibuy. I don't know how you.
Amazing
omnibus.
I don't know.
Dude, dude, I got omnibus. I got volumes 1 and 2. The volume 1 and 2
thick as
omnibuses.
a phone book.
Maybe I'll do that.
Those things are so, dude. Sammy, I'm telling you right now, like.
He's telling you, Sammy.
I'm telling you, like at this very moment right now at 7:07 p.m. I'm telling you, I sat down and started going through the omnibus, and it's a singular read straight through. And when you don't have to buy like the individual trades and switch books, and you can just like run all the way through, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, that's
but
nice.
I agree with you. Like it is such a comprehensive and expansive universe, and it really is in and of itself. Like you really do have the Green Lantern universe, and then everything else in DC, because there's no other characters that have a universe that expansive. Like no one that has a universe that big. I guess Wonder Woman does to a degree, but they've never fully fleshed it out on the same level as Jeff Johns' Green Lantern.
Honestly, the Wonder Woman only recently got really fleshed out finally, because she was always getting interwrapped into Justice League. When they finally, I always mispronounce the name, but I want to say Brian Azzarello. They let him write it, and he got to do what he wanted to do. It was an amazing run.
It was really good.
It just didn't sell, so they said no, make her just normal Justice League people again.
See,
I get okay, wait, because you're a Wonder Woman fan. Maybe you can vouch or not, Sammy. Do you get annoyed in the new comics that the Finches are writing? I love what they're doing, but I hate it when they pull in the characters from Brian Azzarello's run, because I'm just like, that is not the same people at all.
Yeah, and I think part of that is just them not understanding exactly how, I mean, they weren't really comics people before they started writing. So I feel like that's just kind of them not really knowing if they can do that or not, and then them not doing it well, if that makes sense.
I missed it when Wonder Woman fought criminals like Mr. Psycho and the Silver Swan and all of her many
Well,
villains.
you're the minority voice here, Joel.
I
so
know,
go to your-
I know.
Go to
Oh,
your
yeah,
corner
man.
and dwell about what you did to CBC.
I mean, you know,
I-
Wonder Woman, like the first lady, like the first lady of comic book superheroes, and yeah, let's just have her reduce to fighting criminals on the street.
What makes me sad about this new Wonder Woman run is the fact that Donna Troy's introduction was done so badly, and we've been asking for it for so long, and we
it
finally
was so
got
badly
it,
done.
and I was just like, no.
How did you even read that far? I didn't even get that far. I stopped
Oh, no.
reading when they introduced when they had Wonder Woman carry a little teddy bear onto the invisible jet, and I was like, oh, really? Okay.
Because Sammy, I have to read everything.
That's true. That's true.
You should see me every Wednesday. I have to go to Comixology, order every book that came out that day, and then I just sit there with my tablet on the couch, like, oh, yeah, no.
Hey, you too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I will say this about Faust, because this cracked me up. When I was going through and doing my history on DC's reboots, I was trying to figure out like what characters like the main focus was on when they were rebooting, and so I called Faust and I was like, "Give me the rundown on Donna Troy," and he was like, "Ah." and then over the course of 5 minutes, it's like, here's the full
much time
history
you
of Donna
got
Troy,
playing?
and I was like, "Wow, really?" And I was like, "So the reboot wasn't really about her?" He was like, "No," and I said, "Okay, cool, done and done. That's all I need."
I should tell you
Because I
about
only took him-
Hawkman one of these days.
Oh,
Because I
dude.
only took him up to Crisis on Infinite Earths, because
Yeah.
I explained it so fast because you called me while I was laying down in bed.
Yeah,
And I
he's like, I'm getting ready to go to sleep, and I was like, well, I got a question for you. So,
I
Like,
love
wake
like
up.
Faust at like 4 a.m. his time and him being like, hello? And you're just like, hey, Faust, you awake? Kinda.
Depends on what you have to tell me.
Well, yesterday Benny sent me messages like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, "Good." And he goes, "Cool, that's good." And then left it for 5 minutes, and I was like, "This is the weirdest thing ever."
I had to talk to him. We have a secret project me and Faust are doing, and I had to talk to him about it, but I knew it was like 2 a.m. for him. So I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I'm just going to see how long before he asks what I want.
but yeah, so you know, I guess, you know, kind of wrapping up this DC Rebirth thing. To me, I'll be honest, it really feels a lot like DCU in terms of some comics are staying, some comics are going. They're shuffling things up, and they're just writing out new number ones because new number ones always do sell.
That's
It's
right.
just I really hope that there are characters, like I really hope Jessica Cruz gets, and it's cool she's getting her own title. I just hope it's done well because she has the potential to really, I guess, like reinvigorate the Green Lantern mythos, because I agree with Benny that right now it's more like trying to get water from a stone, you know, with the whole Green Lantern series. And so I could definitely see her making things a little more interesting, even if not necessarily bringing it back up to where Jeff Johns had it during his run. I could definitely see it, you know, being cool. And I'm hoping that with the other titles that we see, you know, with Teen Titans and so on and so forth, that they're going to be intriguing. What really interests me, what really piques my whole curiosity on this, is the Rebirth. Is the Rebirth going to be New Origins, or is the Rebirth going to follow
Sure
up from the
sounds
time jump? And it sounds like it's going to be New Origins. I mean, I don't know.
No,
I mean,
they haven't even said that, though.
Well, no,
And,
like-
and honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, okay, here's my opinion on the Rebirth thing. I think this is just simply, you know, let's just do everyone's closing thoughts on this. We'll go around, we'll do a round table and close out. But honestly, my opinion on this Rebirth is, like I said, I think this is just another part of DC and Marvel copying each other. DC did the New 52, sold amazing. Marvel's like, well, we're doing Marvel now. DC just tried, and Marvel now had some amazing, like, independent style runs. So DC was like, let's try DCU. Didn't work. Marvel was like, oh, well, we didn't do as well as you did with your big sale in New 52, so we're going to do a reboot. Not really a reboot. Here's all new number ones. And it has sold amazingly well for Marvel. So what's DC going to do? Hey, we need to fix our continuity. Let's reboot. And I 100%. And if they were too scared to reboot Batman and Green Lantern the first time they did New 52,
Yeah,
they're not
do it
going
this
to do it this time. We're not going to get fresh new number ones, new origins. We're probably going to get, like I said, a time jump into some point, or maybe not even a time jump. They're just going to continue. It'll be like Convergence, where it just happens in the middle.
Yeah.
And we're just going to keep moving forward. And we'll probably just get a new Secret Origin series that tells you the origins of the heroes again.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
that would be interesting.
So
will say-
I was gonna let Sammy go next because that way she's not at the end of everyone's thoughts, and then she's like, "Yeah."
Okay, so I think, so you're saying like, what do I think Rebirth is, or what do I
What's
want
your
to?
overall thoughts of the whole thing?
Um, kind of annoying to have another, rebooting type thing, but I think you're absolutely right. This is Marvel and DC having a kind of war, and they're like, here, we'll try this and see how this goes. But I really want to see a lot of, I don't know. I think Sal really hit it on the head when he was like, I want to see an editorial team that can work together amongst like the different books and not just completely ignore these other people, but also have their own unique book. Like the DC books that I love right now are Gotham by Midnight and Gotham Academy. And those are both so unique within the DC
Midnight's
universe.
canceled
I want to
already.
see main
Yeah,
title
this-
books like that.
And the sad part is Midnight's being
Academy.
cancelled.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you guys this, because I kept meaning to read Midnight. Like, I literally have the trades and the comics all here, like in my stack of things to read, and I never got to. I need one question answered for that. Does he ever properly use the Spectre, or is
Oh,
it just
yeah.
all a detective book?
Oh no, he uses the Spectre. The Spectre plays a big part.
Okay,
It's
okay,
very
that's
creepy.
because it was actually from Batman Eternal that I discovered that Gotham by Midnight Spectre, and then I was like, but does he use Spectre? So I bought all the books but never got to it.
You would think he wouldn't, because that's the ultimate God mod get out of jail free card. Oh yeah,
Well-
I'm also the Spectre.
And they even played it up like that in Batman Eternal, so that's why I was like, does he just not use it? Like, is it the whole thing is like, will he use it? Oh, didn't need to. Jim Corrigan's awesome.
He's like, well, I can't pull it out all the time, you see, because if I do,
I go to jail.
I'm just waiting for him to come out
Regardless.
with. I'm waiting for him to come out with Rebirth and just say this has all just been a different continuity. It's not really New
I
52.
guess. Yeah, I guess my whole
Were
point
you all
of view
set,
on
Sammy?
Rebirth.
I'm good.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh.
You know what,
My
Faust?
whole
You
point-
go last. Sal?
Oh wow!
pull it
Look at that
around.
face.
My whole point of view on Rebirth. I'm talking over you, Sal. I don't even care. It's just. I kind of feel like with DCU, they were very, very passionate. Like, yeah, we're gonna have like creativity over continuity, and you guys are gonna love it. And it did feel like they genuinely were kind of passionate about it, and it wasn't just a cash grab. With this, it does kind of feel like just a cash grab to me, and I'm not really sure where we as readers stand, other than you get what you're given. Like, and I get why they're doing that, because obviously, if the readers knew what they wanted, they'd be writing. But I don't know. I it doesn't make me feel comfortable that I don't know exactly where I stand.
That makes sense.
Also, bring back the butt.
Who wants to go next, Sal or Faust? I'm Sal. Hey, Faust, go.
Hashtag bring back the butt.
Right on. I feel like, all right. With respect to the Marvel and DC are clearly taking pages out of each other's books. They've been doing it for at least the last 10 years. They've been like copying each other's notes and trying to see what works and doing whatever the other one does.
Keeping over each other's tests.
Which is not how they used to succeed, and not how they built the foundation that we all refer to fondly. And it's almost like they both forgot that they're owned by huge megacorporations that won't let them die. Because like they really could just cancel all the titles and release 3 titles a month and be fine. But they don't, because that would piss off people, and who wants that many tweets, I guess? Because they really could just do whatever they want. I mean, the fact is,
social media is a thing, man.
like, they could do whatever they want, really, and they could publish they could cancel, like Marvel could cancel everything but Vision and Scarlet Witch, and be like, here you go, and only Faust would read it, and it would be, that would be a huge thing.
But he'd buy
and-
like
Could
5
you imagine
copies
this
of
podcast every week if it was, all right, so what happened to Vision
So
and
how'd it
Scarlet
go,
Witch? And
Faust?
Faust was
I didn't
like,
read
I
it.
can talk all day.
Yeah.
Dude, I would have
There was
abandoned
this
this
one
podcast if
page.
that happened.
Where they kissed. It was kind of gross.
But it's just frustrating, because like it is like the comic book industry is an industry in which people need to do things to make money, but because they don't have to worry about like imploding or destroying themselves, I feel like they could take more creative decisions or take more creative risks than they have over the last decade or two. And I feel bad because if you compare DCU to Rebirth, and we're just talking about DC in this example. DCU, they clearly had a plan and they worked it out. Like Faust said, like they cared. At least they cared enough to hire a design firm to come up with a brand for their thing. DC Rebirth is clearly an afterthought.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's a Google image search of some curtains and somebody photoshopping text over an image. And that sucks because it clearly means that it was like an emergency retreat decision.
No,
And Billy skipped lunch to do that Photoshop,
And if
man.
that's the
Come on.
case, if that's the case, if I'm right, if my cynicism is correct, if my cynicism
Cinesense.
yeah, and they clearly were just like, I don't know, whatever they want. Like if they're just throwing their hands in the air and giving us what they think we want, it can only end in failure, and it's like, or at least it can only end in yet another reboot in a lot shorter time. So
You know,
I'm
you know
hoping
what'd be
that
the funniest thing ever?
yeah.
If you're 100% right, and it's literally some guy who photoshopped it thinking it looked cool, and an
Yeah.
editor walked past and said, "Tweet that."
Oh, Rebirth. That has 2 syllables and can fit in a hashtag. I dig that. Let's go.
I've been saying this for ages. I swear to God, I don't know if it is the same curtains, but I swear I've seen those curtains in Adobe stock images.
Right. In fact, you know what? I'll do a thing. While Joel's talking, I'm gonna Google image search curtains
You
and
do
see
that.
if it's the exact same thing as the DC Rebirth version.
All right, so
I was
Joel
gonna
doesn't
say, as
get
far as
final
I'm
thoughts.
concerned,
Moving on.
God damn it. As far as I'm concerned,
You only
I'm
get
a
final
li-
thoughts if you say it. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I'm just, dude. I swear, man, you're testing me, son. But yeah, as I was gonna say, DC Rebirth. Look, I'm a lifer at this point when it comes to comics. This ain't my first rodeo, and it ain't gonna be my last rodeo with this. As far as I'm concerned, just like, look, change what you think is not working. Just don't touch the books I like. So like, leave my Green Arrow alone, please, and
Oh
then
my
we'll
God.
be cool.
Did you read the one where he's half werewolf now?
I did read that.
And
But you got the subtext of it, right? You read the annual, so you got the whole subtext of the werewolf thing, that they're basically telling a story about HIV without telling a story about HIV.
I don't understand why they need to have subtlety at this point about HIV. It's not like it's like a new freaking thing that we're all like upset to hear about. Like, come on.
Because I'll tell you for why. For as long as mentioning the word gay is controversial, HIV will stay as controversial as well.
I guess. All right. That's fair. It looks like, I mean, look, it's clearly one of these pictures. In fact, I think I got it. Here it is.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to post
That
it in
could
the
be the
chat.
thumbnail for the episode.
Sal, according to Tiffany, she's in the kitchen dancing.
Yes, well, I can't see her, but here it is, everybody. Here are the curtains that they used for DC Rebirth. It's called, the image file.
Wow.
The image file is called Theater Curtains, Edmonton Stage Curtains, Essex, blah, blah, blah. Here we go.
Hence
Yeah.
be known as the Rebirth curtains.
Yeah, Rebirth Curtains.
That sounds really gross.
I
It
wonder-
does,
I
doesn't
wonder
it?
if we're going-
So,
You know what that
mentioned-
makes me think of? If anybody saw Patch Adams when he did
I
the
did.
gynecology
Yeah.
convention, and he made women's legs, so when they walked into the convention, they had to go through the center.
Yeah.
oh,
yeah.
that's like
That's what
that's
they are, the rebirth curtain.
There's,
Now,
it's
if
like-
you just Google image search, son of a bitch, cat. She's too
Oh, wait,
fat
I
to stand
Googled
on
it.
thing. Okay, now if you type in stage curtains, boom, there they are for Marvel's Rebirth curtain, or for Marvel's Dead No More curtains. Yeah,
Wow.
no effort put in whatsoever. Just
They've
whatever.
stopped caring.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah. What that for me is more damning and frustrating than any like creative decision made by any of these people about like the gods or about Shazam or Batman or Eternal or whatever. It's just like well, let's rebrand the whole thing here. Curtains, derp. Like they don't even have the guy who owns that picture could probably sue them. Like.
Just jack their image straight off Google.
All right, so I think overall we all agree Rebirth is going to be interesting, and we'll probably
Yeah.
be talking about it for the next 5 months.
I can't wait to see. Can't wait
Yeah.
to see what happens.
You
Gives
join us
plenty
next
of
week on the
material.
Weekly Poll when we discuss DC Rebirth.
And we still got a couple months.
Yeah, no. So
I mean,
before we move on to our other next topic, which is going to talk about, I don't even know at this point, but something.
But books in trouble, books on the bubble.
Okay, we'll look at that, and then Rob and I'll tell you how awesome we are. We're gonna do our usual break in the middle. This week, your book you guys should be reading, because I couldn't find one early enough. Go check out Ivar the Time Walker by Valiant Comics. They're coming out with the final volume this month, and it's a great book. If you like Doctor Who, but you want to see it in like a superhero-esque kind of world, great book. Volumes 1 and 2 are already out. Volume 3 is coming out in 2 weeks. So it'll wrap up. It's a whole story. Like, it's a full story. Like, you don't have to go get 13, 14. It finishes, and it's beautiful. Amazing story. Valiant Comics.
Yep.
Hey,
Maybe
Joel.
one of my favorite Valiant books.
Hey, Joel, can you send me the link for the titles that are being canceled for all new?
And I do want to clarify this right now, because apparently Tiffany misheard me.
yeah,
But my
it's
exact
already in there.
statement about bringing in Sammy was that Sammy is the only female person we have for the podcast who can show up regularly now, because Tiffany works.
Oh,
Glad you put that little because works there.
Well, she does. She's always the work when we start, isn't she, Sal?
Typically,
start. Yeah,
typically
she
she
shows up.
arrives. Typically she's here when we start. Like she'll be arriving when we kick off the show. Like when
But
we
I'm
were
gonna
like,
say
okay, we're
it's
going
Sal's
live.
fault
She was
for
here.
misinforming me. I'm just saying.
That's fair. I will take the blame on that one.
Yeah, now she's yelling at me in the chat. She gets that.
So before we move on to the next topic, I have a public apology to make to a big group of people.
Are you going to make one to the real Faust, evil Faust?
No,
People
but
with
this might
ADHD.
actually confirm that I'm the evil Faust.
What did you do?
So recently, I got an Apple TV, and I was buying comic book TV shows and movies, and Arrow and Flash were on sale.
good
And,
shows.
and I still think Arrow sucks, but Flash.
It does.
I actually like it. I don't.
Isn't
hate
it awesome?
It's a good show.
The Flash
dude.
is great.
awesome.
The Flash is doing it right.
I would go homo for the Flash. I'm just saying right now.
I still hate the
Grant
costume.
Gustin is a beautiful
The
man.
costume still makes me angry, but now I've gotten past the rage of the costume.
And wait till you get season 2 when they put the white on the symbol there, so it actually looks better than
That'll look great.
looks more
Simple.
comic accurate.
It's the fabric.
It's a basketball.
Yeah. Or it's
Yeah.
It's a fun show, though.
It is. It is.
I just like how they no holds barred do comic stuff.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do. Talking gorillas.
Like it's not
alternate
like, oh, Barry Allen needs to go stop someone, but he can't run that fast, so he's gonna drive a car there because
they're not
it's
like-
convenient.
Unlike most of the DC media projects, they're not like, well, he looks stupid running. Like, can we do a Flash show where he doesn't have to run all the time?
Does anyone
Just
else
like-
remember the let's do Superman without having him fly or a cape?
Well, just like
10
yeah,
years.
no capes, no flying. That was it. That was the mandate. No
Not
capes.
capes.
Did you hear the rumor that Tom
Yeah,
Welling is
okay.
going to be Superman and Supergirl?
that.
Freaking
I heard about
bizarre.
that.
See, I still have not watched more than 4 episodes of Supergirl because I got that far in, and it just made me sad because I loved episode 1 so much, and then episode 2 came out, and it was like, oh, this is really dumb.
Nah.
Okay, well,
And-
I actually said this best to Zadako, my wife, the other day. She was asking why I'm still watching Supergirl, and I told her I watched Supergirl in the background because half of the episodes are really good. The other half are horrible, and it's the half where she goes to work for Cat Grant, and she's like, "I'm not really a superhero. I'm gonna get your coffee.
Ugh.
I can make it in the world." And then they like go and do normal superhero fights and accurate stuff, and it's like, "This is cool. Don't do that half."
Yeah, dude. Okay, you know
like-
what? That idea was so stupid.
It's
In what
basically that girl
universe?
with powers.
Yeah, like in
Well-
what universe would anyone believe that an attractive white chick's gonna have a hard time finding success in America? Come on.
What they needed to do,
Like,
and I'll still say this, they could have kept all the fight scenes as they are now, but just make alterations to the story and do Linda Danvers Supergirl.
Yeah.
And make her some kind of like skater chick in her like mid-teens.
The story right now is just
teens.
the core plot, and it's funny because it's almost like the writers know this, because the Supergirl story doesn't ever normally ramp into the her trying to make it in the world storyline.
Right.
Like-
There's
like
no
it-
overlap there.
There is almost no overlap outside of like, oh, I have to make it to this appointment or this gets canceled because I had to run over here. Outside of that, it's like the love interest thing is over here, and then she's gonna put her costume on and go talk to all the people and go do all the superhero stuff. And I always find that
segmented.
weird. Yeah.
You know what? You know which character the Supergirl show would have actually suited more
How are
than
we getting on this
Supergirl?
topic?
It's my fault. I'm sorry. This is the Faust effect. I'm really sorry. But Miss Martian, because she doesn't understand how humans work. And
That's
so
true.
as a result, her at work, she would be awkward. She would have a hard time getting along. So if there was a Miss Martian show, how it is right now would work perfectly, and she would have all the same powers because it was
No,
shown that
she's
Do you
Martian,
think anyone
yeah.
would notice if they just switched them?
Oh my god.
I think
And
the
just
green,
didn't say anything?
the
be
green
cool.
skin might be a bit of a giveaway.
I
She
do like what they did
shapeshifts.
with Martian Manhunter. I think they did a great job with him. Are you watching it at all, Sammy? Or are you not
I am,
watching?
yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I just see it as a very light, fluffy, fun show.
Yeah.
Like, I can't take it seriously at all because, I mean, the plot lines are very thin. And it's just like, I mean, like you said, it's a kind of a background show. to keep
Yeah,
on.
it is.
The
I put it in
plot
the background,
lines-
and when they start fighting, I'm not even joking. So many times I'll be like, "Oh, let me rewind it 5 minutes to see when that fight started," because now it's getting really good.
Oh yeah,
Well,
like
I
I've
will,
done that
I will
before.
agree. The plot lines are thinner than the actress's hair.
I mean, I'd rather see like all the fight scenes and stuff, but I'd rather see like Kara Zor-El like barely making rent,
Yeah, but these
and
people are
like
too, like, hyper attractive for that.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like I don't want to see like a super hot Supergirl. I want to see like a moderately attractive Supergirl.
But
you know?
that's why Linda Danvers would have worked because she was just
Yeah.
kind of like this girl that ended up in
Yeah,
this situation.
I don't want to see a Supergirl that's like a 10. I want to see a Supergirl that's like a 6 or a 7.
And Jimmy
Yeah.
Olsen,
While
too.
we're on
same
that time,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jimmy
what about a
Olsen makes no
super
sense
hat?
either.
What about a super
you know
hot
what-
8-foot tall
You
Jimmy
know what
Olsen?
bothers me about Jimmy Olsen? Not that they made him black, it's that they made him a cool black guy.
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't he like a nerdy black guy?
Well,
Isn't Jimmy in the comics now like a millionaire and cool now and everything?
No, he's not. Oh yeah, in the comics he is. He's a millionaire. Yeah, that's right. But he's not
I
cool.
thought he gave it all away.
No,
Yeah.
Jimmy Olsen was always like the goofy sidekick.
Yeah.
He's always
And
like
that's what
he's
I mean.
like I'm your
why
biggest
is he
fan,
the cool
Superman.
black guy now? He's like,
I mean,
what's going on?
to be
Yeah.
fair, I mean, look at what they've done with Lucius Fox.
Oh yeah.
No, but the problem with Jimmy, the problem with Jimmy is that like he's every attractive guy in every show ever. Like that's
Yeah.
what he is. Like he's like an archetype. He's a stereotype of like
But that-
like any show that stars an attractive woman with an attractive guy. He's that guy.
He's a
like-
stereotype,
but
but not of
but
what you
that's
might
what-
think.
yeah.
That's what every character in the Supergirl TV show is. Like her boss is just bitchy woman A.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Devil
her
Wears
boss that
Prada.
made me realize I can't stand the not Supergirl elements. There's an episode where her boss
Yeah.
figures out that she's Supergirl, and then instead of just being, and she she doesn't even say like I'm going to use you for this. She goes, "Go save the day." Like her boss is like, "Go save the day, do your thing. Why are you working for me? You need to go do this instead."
Even
She's
she
not-
knows how lame this premise is.
Right, exactly. And the boss says that, and I'm like, that makes sense. And then to combat it, Kara Zor-El shows up with Martian Manhunter as a shapeshifted version of her to prove that she's not Supergirl, so she can go back to her job.
Right, like why would she do that? Like only
Exactly.
because to maintain
'Cause
that
I'm pretty
stupid
sure at no
plot.
point, unless I missed it, did Callista Flockhart's character, Cat Grant, go, "I know who you are, and I'm going to make millions on this, and you're doomed."
Now
it
that-
was like, go do your Supergirl thing. Go.
Well, here's the thing about Cat Grant. You can't do her character without having Meryl Streep play her.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude, the Devil Wears Prada. That's exactly what
Yes.
she's the Devil
Yeah.
Wears Prada. Like, yeah,
mean, if you've been watching
that's
it,
what I
what do
feel
you
like. Like the show feels like Frankenstein. It feels like, CBS went out
bunch of
and
other
just
shows
just
stitched
a
together.
whole bunch of other concepts and like a bunch of shows just stitched together into one single show.
They're
and
probably
all
just afraid to do anything. Like they also didn't have. I don't think like they had Flash. They were probably making Supergirl when Flash was finally catching. So they were like they didn't have Flash as an example of look. People want to just watch a show about a superhero doing stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were like I don't know. How about all
I
this
pushed
crap?
past the
And-
turn Clark Kent into a dick because he'll text her, but he can't super speed over and chat
Yeah.
for 2 minutes.
Well, yeah,
And
in Golden
the one-
Age Supergirl story, Superman was kind of a dick, dropping
yeah,
off at an
he's like-
orphanage.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything.
This guy, okay, maybe he's not as fast as the Flash, but he is pretty fast.
He's pretty
and he's texting her, "Hey, doing great. Saw you on the news." Like,
Yeah.
the one
they're
thing
just
that
afraid
I
to
can't
lose-
the one thing that I can't get past is you've got Supergirl, a character whose costumes are very high fashion inspired. If
Faust
you
in
like,
his costumes, man.
yeah,
Costumes
yeah,
are-
me and my costumes. If you look at Supergirl, you can associate her costume with the decade that Supergirl book was from.
Oh
Get
yeah.
a headband.
This Supergirl costume just looks so generic.
Oh
Or was
yeah.
it? It's literally a top, a skirt, and some leggings, and I guess the skirt is made of leather for some reason.
See,
Yeah.
wouldn't that have
That's
been
sad.
cool if we'd have got that? If
don't
we'd
make
if we'd have
leather,
got
Dave.
if we had had like Kara Zor-El, the last man standing, fighting the Anti-Monitor, dies in
That
Clark Kent's
version?
arms. Wouldn't it have been cool if we got
would've-
that version of Supergirl? Instead, we get the one that's like, Mary Tyler Moore's first day in the city, version of
Wow,
Supergirl.
what a
Like,
reference. Our young
Yeah.
All right,
fans
I
love
want to
that
throw this
Mary
out there real
Tyler
quick
Moore.
because it happened during our other discussion. I said I wanted to mention it afterwards, but GVK 2012 has subscribed to the channel to
Awesome,
enjoy
thank
our
you.
podcast.
Welcome to the mess.
If anybody else subscribed, you need
mess.
to know now because I only saw that one.
The mess. It's not a mess.
All right, so what books are being canceled, Joel? Let's move over to that topic so we can wrap
I
up.
was gonna say,
God.
do we want to talk about this? Because we've been talking for over an hour and there's a lot to cover here.
Man,
Unless we
they've-
just want to lighten
Why
the
don't you
wrap.
just shotgun them down and we can all be like, oh,
Just name them all. Yeah,
Okay.
sigh or not.
Okay, so this one's from Newsarama, and this is coming out. This is not books that will be canceled, but they're books that are in trouble. One that got canceled for sure was Black Knight, which everyone, I'm sure, there's just like,
Yeah.
well, this wasn't going to last long.
meh.
These are books that are potentially in trouble. These are ones that aren't selling as well. At number 10, we have Catwoman, which ironically is also written by Frank Terry, who writes Black Knight. That dude just can't catch a break.
Catwoman
It's selling.
has I feel like Catwoman's been in trouble since this book came out.
Yeah.
And yet so many books
Catwoman's-
have been canceled before.
Catwoman's been in trouble since Halle Berry tried playing her.
Oh God, man.
I liked the Genevieve Valentine stuff when they just straight up said, okay, this is a crime book now. This is a Godfather-esque book. And then they're like, nope, didn't work. Make her a vigilante criminal again. So that's what they're going
why I
back.
always feel like it's in
Yeah, I
trouble
like
because it
that.
feels like every 2 arcs there's a whole entire new theme. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with comics in general now is like, well, does it work? No. Throw it all away and try again.
The
Alright,
next
next.
one we have Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I kept
Oh,
saying
right.
I was going to read.
Yeah.
I said I was going to read the first issue of this, and I didn't.
I never got around
I
to it.
did. I
yeah.
read I bought the
Oh, I
first
feel
issue.
bad I didn't
It
support it now.
was a fun little story. It was a cute book, and it's too bad. But you know
yeah.
what? I hated those monkeys. I don't care about those monkey.
I think the problem with this one might be is that there's already one too many like quirky Marvel comedy books
That's a
right
good
now for
point.
young
Mhm.
people.
there's
I think
a
this
lot of them.
I think this was just like one too many. It's like I could get this, or I could get Miss Marvel, or I could get one of these other books.
Squirrel
that's
Girl.
just,
Girl or the Avengers
that.
or anything.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
8 makes me really sad because I've been championing this one since the very beginning. Oh no,
Arrow?
Secret 6. Oh, don't take Miguel Simone from me.
I'm
Don't
actually
take
not
this-
gonna lie. I read the first issue of that, and every week I pick it up. It's probably one of like 4 books that immediately goes in the bag and board pile.
It's
Wow.
because you had to have read it before, because Simone isn't even trying to make it a new team anymore. She's like, you know what? Forget it. Jeanette, Scandal, Savage, Ragdoll. They're all back, and they're all in this now. Read the other run.
That's funny.
All right, next up.
Next up is Angela, Queen of Hell.
Okay,
Oh, it's
I'm
canceled?
surprised. I'm surprised about
It's not
this.
canceled, but it's in all
What?
these
Okay.
books aren't getting canceled, but they're in danger of getting
Oh, okay.
canceled.
Well,
in
yeah, they're all. Well, they were. in
Wait,
the-
I missed something with the Angela book. There was something that made headlines, like something that. Does anyone know what it was?
There's nothing really. I mean, like she's.
No,
She's
bad. Like there was a comment in there that apparently that everyone freaked the hell out
Oh,
about.
I didn't see anything, and I'm
Isn't
reading.
that every comic every week?
Yeah.
All right, what's up next?
Justice League 3001. I'm amazed they brought this back as
That book
3001.
is still going, and DeMatteis is like making fun of DC editorial like every issue at that.
Oh
point.
yeah, it's so
This-
funny.
This
I
is
tried
bad.
getting into it. I just couldn't get into it.
This is bad because I get everything every month, but every time I have that, I literally say, "Oh, this is still going. I thought it got cancelled," because I just forget instantly.
Yeah.
I actually like that book. I read it. Although they just killed off Superman, Batman, like a whole bunch of people, like core people,
Yeah,
to
but
try
then-
and make a new Justice League 3001 with
Yeah.
Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Fire and Ice, and Supergirl.
Oh.
And I was like,
Huh.
and now you've lost me.
They'll be back. They'll be back.
So at number 5 we have Hercules, and this one makes me sad too because it's only a couple issues in, and it's so good and so
It
funny and so heartfelt. I mentioned it before. It's the best Wonder Woman book that's not Wonder Woman right now.
But
gonna
Maybe I'll
miss-
pick
it's
it
probably
up.
I'm
It,
gonna
well, it
miss
is really
Wonder
good, but I
Woman.
think it's suffering from the same thing with Moon Girl. It's just one too many quirky books. But
Yeah.
what I
Just
like
like-
about this one is it's the because it's all about a superhero who's now he's just given up for like 50 years and now he wants to be a superhero again, and that's what's
Yeah.
cool about it.
But
Oh,
it's
I'm
looking like it's. But at the same time, reading notes here and because I haven't really been reading Hercules. But it's looking like it's going to tie in with Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch.
Yes,
so
down the line, yes.
there's probably going to be an event with those three because
That would be
like
nice.
the overarching
I'm gonna do a
story.
video on Hercules next week. I want to see
he's
that
had a
book
lot
as
of
well.
stories.
I'm gonna do an experiment. I'm gonna do a video on it and see what happens.
See if that takes it.
Immediately cancels.
He's had a lot of stuff to cover because the Hulk book became like the Incredible Hercules for a bit, and he's been a drunk jerk, and he's been a hero. He's been a lot of stuff. There's a lot to cover.
Yeah.
Next up,
I'm
we
sorry.
have
Let me stop you 1 second, Joel. For what Benny said, it was the debut issue. It was issue number 1, and Angela kissed Sarah in that issue. And it was creating like a homosexual, I guess a lesbian, transgender thing. It was them coming out at the same time that they released Batgirl number 45, I think it was, where like Barbara Gordon's transgender friend got married or something along those lines.
Oh,
But that's
yeah.
why that took off, because it was the first time a character of an alternate sexual orientation was a headliner in a comic book.
Right.
So yeah.
Wasn't what? Didn't we have Batwoman for like a while?
He means gender orientation.
Yeah, gender
Oh,
orientation.
okay.
Yeah.
That's probably more.
I'm
of your
sorry
alley.
for
I
the
don't
incorrect
understand.
nomenclature, Faust.
No. I
it's
don't
very
expect
different.
straight people to know.
But dumb Tish.
Woo! Right over my head because I'm straight. Thank God.
Okay, so at number 4 we have Howling Commandos of Shield, and this is yet another one where I'm like, this one's still
I don't
going.
care.
It's still
I
going,
feel-
Yeah.
really?
I feel like
Yeah, I
every
don't care.
cover of this book looks like it should just have Dick Grayson on it, like as Grayson.
I got a nice correction on this one when I opened my comic bento box this week. I'm like, hey, Superior Iron Man, that was a fun book. I like Teen Abomination. Whatever happened to him? Like, oh, he's on the Howling Commandos, and I'm like, oh, no wonder I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what's sad? It's just a really quick interjection about this. We're talking about all these books that are like, obviously when they were being published, when they're first published, they're gonna get canceled after like 11 issues or so, and we're like, oh, that's too bad. But we were also for the last 2 hours talking about how like the big two need to get more innovative and try new things and be more
And
like,
now look at all these innovative books that
that
are
are being on the chopping block. I think, and here's the thing. For a lot of these new characters, like, I don't care, I'm not interested in it. But, like, how about taking some of these, like, passionate,
Cool
hungry
ideas.
creators, like, and putting them on the top 7-tier books?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
dude, could you
that's
imagine?
the problem, is that, like,
because we tried reinventing the wheel with Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman, and no one liked them. What do
no,
we
but
do?
they weren't new creators, though. They were new ideas from the same 12 people over the last, like, 15 years. Like, it's not like, yeah. Anyway, that's just a thought. Moving on.
We're way over our time, so we gotta get
Okay,
going.
I'll do the last 3 then. Dr. Fate is also in trouble right now. Benny, you already led into that one. So
The
there you
story's great. Costumes like what? And it's the first time I agree with Faust. Sometimes the costume has to sell it. Like it's literally, I've been reading that, waiting for him to be like, boom, real costume.
Dr. Fate has an awesome costume.
go.
He does have a
he
great
does.
cosplay costume. I will say that.
The original, yeah.
Yeah, the original.
Howard the Duck is also in trouble. This book has
Good.
seen a 50% drop.
Good.
Well, you know
And
why?
so-
And I can tell you exactly
Wow.
why. They were selling it like crazy because they did the Gwenpool backup in it for the first 3 issues.
Oh.
Once that ended, they said, "Oh, she's getting her own book." So people like me said, "Well, I don't need Howard the Duck anymore."
Done. Well, plus, like Howard the Duck, it was literally like Howard the Duck was a character when Marvel made him. It was like impulse buying. It was going to the grocery store when you were hungry.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my god, I'm starving right now. Like, this bag of chips will make a nutritious meal, and then you buy the bag of chips and you realize it's empty calories. Like that was Howard the Duck.
Kung Pao Duck. All
Kung
right.
Pao Duck.
And lastly, and this one actually has a couple things working against it. This one might not be totally dead, but it might be reshuffled. Midnighter is barely cracking the 200 anymore, apparently, which is sad because I actually kind of like this book's combination of morally dubious espionage and everything. He is, however, going to be crossing over with the Suicide Squad very soon, so maybe because
cool.
of the movie, he'll be getting a boost because of that. And also, there's talk that because of this Rebirth and because of this DC whatever, they might be getting rid of the Midnighter book, but they might also be bringing back a new Authority to where I'm like, but you tried Authority and it failed. Midnighter did better than all of Authority did.
Yeah, but luckily
I've
Faust
never heard of
loves
Midnighter.
Midnighter, so he'll be sad about this.
No, I'll tell you why I'm happy that Midnight is being cancelled. Because DC do this thing.
Not
that
canceled yet, but in trouble.
It's getting cancelled. God damn it! I'll make it happen.
We're gonna start a hashtag Save Midnighter campaign.
First of all, as you tie that into hashtag bring that back the butt, I don't care.
But there's so much grace and butt in Midnighter, though, if you read it.
Hey, that works perfectly with the hashtag full homo, so I think it comes full circle.
But like, here's my issue with Midnighter. DC did this thing that I do want them to evolve beyond one day, but they're not at the moment, where like gay people can have one book. Just the one.
Just the one at a time.
And Midnighter, it's just, it's not good.
What? Hashtag Rob explains condoms? Really?
What?
Damn it, Rob.
What?
The people have spoken,
Everyone's
Rob.
doing save Midnighter, save the butt, bring back the butt, hashtag full homo, and then Rory Bayou. Hashtag Rob explains condoms.
Really?
It sounds like he just wants to know. Maybe you should tell him, Rob.
Why are there Rob explain hashtag things? And this just happened. It just appeared. Like there was no one was like Rob should explain this. It was just hashtag what the hell are you guys doing in the chat, man?
Hashtag Rob explains full homo.
Y'all are crazy as hell.
Rob, I'll pay for you to explain full homo.
Are you serious?
Feel like
I did a video on
would have
Netflix and chill.
I feel like that video would have to be like Rob explains full homo featuring Faust.
Wow.
It's
Not a back
all-
cross.
Val, so you're just trying to get like guest spots in everyone's channel?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a good business model.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah.
Rob explains.
All right, guys. I think we need to wind this down. Does anyone have any final thoughts they want to put out there? We are like 30 minutes over time right now.
I will say with DC Rebirth, I hope they give us some real.
You know what, Rob? It doesn't matter what you have to say, Sal.
I've said it all, and I'll just leave it at that.
No, I'm playing, Rob. What do you got?
This guy gets to do a closing video for Polaris, and suddenly he's the greatest thing ever. My God,
Oh,
man.
yeah, we didn't get to talk about how awesome Rob and I are. We went to go to PAX South, and we did a whole bunch of crap, and Rob and I had a panel with 172 people there, and it was the first time ever that I was silent because it was an ongoing joke that we were going to have 10 people there, so I was like, yeah, we'll have 10 people. We'll just talk with them like we do at other panels. And they opened the doors, and people started flooding in, and I was like, and Rob's like, well, welcome, and totally took point, and Rob was awesome, and then 10 minutes later, kind of like, after stumbling, picked up on it.
Dude, man, you were so nervous. It was funny. Like I asked Natalie afterwards just to make sure. I was like, was Benny nervous? She was like, yeah, he was nervous because you didn't expect that many people.
No, they
didn't
brought us
expect
into
that
a
many
room that
people.
was massive, and there was
Dude,
172 people there.
Dude, it was
Okay.
hilarious, man. Like they opened the door and there was like all these people outside, and Betty's like, no, they're watching on because they had monitors that were showing like Polaris shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Betty's like, oh, they're all out there, and then like they started coming in, and then they kept coming in. And they kept coming in even
Yeah,
more.
they filled the whole side of the room. They started filling up the other
It's
side
like,
of the room.
wow. I was like, oh my God.
It was fun.
It was awesome.
Okay, that's all we had. Oh, we'll talk more
Oh,
about
no. Did you tell about the burrito?
Oh, I had a
The 5-pound burrito.
I had a 5-pound burrito that we ordered as a joke and definitely couldn't finish.
Dude, that thing was huge.
I was stomped up all weekend.
Oh my God, dude, that burrito was massive. You can find it on Instagram. There's pictures of it
It's on
there.
our Instagram. By the way, that's at Comic Historian. Anyway.
And at Comments Explain, I guess.
Was it
All right,
at
guys.
least the
I think
5-pound
we're going to
burrito?
close this out. I want to thank Sammy for joining us today. I know it's hard to
Thanks for having me.
I know it's difficult to get a word in edgewise with all of us, as I just proved. But thank you for coming back today. Thank you, Rob, Sal, Joel. Not Faust. Faust is mean today.
I'm not mean, I'm just honest.
Well,
So, guys, I'm Benny the Comic Historian. That is Rob from Comics Explained. That is Sal from Comic Pop. That is Faust from It's Super Effective. That is Joel from Cape Joel. And this is Sammy from Sammy Reads. If you like all of our channels, go check out our channels, subscribe to them, follow us on Twitter. Most of our Twitter handles follow along the names of our channels, other than Joel and Joel, Faust, and Sal. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I've had my Twitter.
Some
longer
Korean
than I've had
company
my
stole my
YouTube.
Twitter. I can't have.
I can't have it. And we will see you guys next time on The Weekly Poll, where we probably talk more about DC Rebirth. I don't think we've had an episode this long in a very long time.
nope.
True.
Peace, guys.